Insider drops bombshell trade report for the Boston Red Sox as the trade deadline quickly approaches. I'm here to break down all of the new information, including these credible names that are now being tied to the Boston Red Sox organization as we get closer and closer to the MLB Trade Deadline. Welcome back to Red Sox Digest. I'm Houston. We'll break down all of that and how the Red Sox could greatly benefit from adding another starting pitching arm before the deadline expires. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Red Sox Digest, but first remember to scroll down and click that subscribe button. We do appreciate all the love and support as you guys have been killing it as of late, helping us hit our new goal of 4,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so very much. But now let's get to it and break down really just where the Red Sox, in the sense of starting pitching and their options, go from here, as there are an ample amount. Now there might not be 10 to 15 names, but there are 6 to 8 qualified names that would greatly help this Red Sox team, but there are a few variables that go into each of them, and we're going to break down why some of them are just simply not going to have a chance to go to Boston for odds-on reasons, as well as why there may be a few others that have a lot better chance to land in Boston by the trade deadline. So we're first going to start with this article, and this is where we're going to be citing the majority of our information, as Sean McAdam went on to write. Really, the possible opportunities for the Red Sox if they were going to be considered buyers at this trade deadline, which all of Red Sox Nation is looking in at this Red Sox team and hoping and assuming they are going to be buyers based off the 10 wins they rattled off in a row going into the All-Star break. Yes, they did lose game 1 today in the second half of the season to the Chicago Cubs, but it just looked a little rusty. And I'm not going to jump the gun and say it was a fugazi. Now they have to play difficult teams and they're not going to be able to hold on. I think the Red Sox are going to be just fine, especially if they can add a little bit more depth to the starting pitching rotation. And here are a few names in which we could possibly see. Now we're going to start with this quote as it says, "When it comes to improving the rotation, the Red Sox would prefer someone with more control who would be a rotational fixture for several years to come. More attention has been focused on Minnesota's Joe Ryan, who's under control through 2027, but all evidence suggests the Twins want to hold on to Ryan." Now, this was the first of many quotes from Sean McAdam, and this is a conversation we've had on this channel before in the last 10 days, a week to 10 days, if you will, as Joe Ryan is a very qualified name and one that was connected to this Red Sox team going into the All-Star break, and then the All-Star break took place, and we saw an ample amount of photos of Joe Ryan, Garrett Crochet, Alex Bregman, and it just looked like there was a good chance that that friendship was very, very intact, and it looked like there was almost a form of recruitment going on from the Red Sox side of things. Obviously, it doesn't seem that will take place because of really the value that the Twins know that they're holding on to. And again, having the flexibility, knowing that he will be a part of their organization and under team control for the next 2 to 3 years. So moving on, what names did Sean McAdam go on to mention in this article? Well, I will first say there are a bunch of names, and we're going to jump over a few of them with just saying these names are great opportunities, but it doesn't seem like the Red Sox are going to jump at them because of the lack of control in which they would obtain if they did acquire these players. Now, to start, the first one is going to be Merrill Kelly. Now, this is a great name, a very consistent arm out in Arizona, and it seems like all eyes are on Arizona because they have not lived up to expectations up to this point, and with all of the great complementary pieces they have on that team, it looks like they could work out elsewhere for other championship level contenders like the Boston Red Sox. And Kelly is only one of the names, Zach Gallen being the other, as he's getting a lot of shine and a lot of market, or I should say a lot of media, because of the potential he has on the baseball diamond. And if he were to go to a legitimate team that just needs a little boost in the starting pitching rotation, he could really find his footing and become another really quality guy in the front line of that starting rotation, whether it be a number 2, a number 3, and possibly even a number 1, depending on the situation. But again, because of the lack of control, if the Boston Red Sox were to go out there and make a trade for these players, it doesn't seem very likely. And it doesn't end there, as 2 guys from the San Diego Padres also find themselves in the same boat, as well as Michael King also being injured right now, being on and off the IL. doesn't seem ever likely he is going to be moved. So Michael King, another guy, not only the injuries are that he's dealing with, but also the lack of control to the team in which that maintains him seems to push away the Boston Red Sox, as well as Dylan Cease. Now, Cease seems to have a lot more trade value than the majority of the guys we just mentioned because of being 29 years old and the overall abilities we have seen on the diamond with the 98 to 100 mile per hour fastball, the wipeout slider, and a really good changeup. Dylan Cease, obviously very volatile, but when he is on, he is damn good. Lack of control for the Red Sox if they were to trade for him, and Jarren Duran's name constantly comes up in these trades, but the Red Sox have 3 years of control of Jarren Duran. Why would they possibly move Duran for one of the four arms we just mentioned, which are very qualified and very, very productive in the sense of arms and starting pitching? Why would they give up 3 years of control in Jarren Duran for someone in a loaner deal that you're only going to have for what? 4 to 5 months until your season comes to an end, whether that is in the Fall Classic or in the events leading up to that. It just wouldn't make the most sense for the Boston Red Sox to go out and move someone as valuable as Jarren Duran for someone that you're, again, only going to have for the remainder of this up-and-coming season. And that's as if you made the trade today. So you'd have him from July 18th until your season came to a close, whether you made the playoffs or not. Overall, it just doesn't seem like the smartest decision available for the Red Sox. But there are a few other names that have a few more years of control under their belt in the sense of contracts. And if the Red Sox were able to go out there and make a trade for them, it could end up working out. Now, the first name we're going to mention is not my favorite by any means, but he is a quality arm that could very much fit in to this Red Sox team. And both, or I should say all three of the names we're about to mention legitimately have the best chance to find themselves landing in Boston because of what they bring, as well as the contract they are currently on and the amount of years that the Red Sox would have under their control for this asset. Mitch Keller's the first one we'll start with. Now, he's not my favorite. He's not the best player we're going to acknowledge. He is pretty damn good. He's 29 years of age, and he has had some moments of good. He's had some moments of really bad. Also, he's playing in Pittsburgh with literally no run support. And I don't even have to have this conversation. If you have been paying attention to baseball over the last year, you know the name Paul Skeens. You know the fact that despite he goes out there and throws 7 innings at least of one-hit baseball with 8 to 10 strikeouts every appearance, he still has like 3 or 4 wins on the year. They should trade him, and the Red Sox should be first in line for him. That's a totally different conversation, but the idea is the same. If Mitch Keller was taken out of this abysmal Pittsburgh Pirates organization and put in the Red Sox organization where he would be a 2, a 3, or even a 4 in this starting rotation, a complimentary guy that does not have to take on all the stress as the number 1 ace type of guy in this rotation, with the run support he would be getting and the defense behind him, it could work. I'm not saying he's going to turn into a sub-2 ERA guy as he sits in the mid-4s right now, but he could definitely look a lot better, especially if he gets that run support and he can go right at these hitters and flat out attack and use the breaking stuff as well as that mid-90s fastball that he has in his arsenal. Overall, not my favorite option, but definitely a real one the Red Sox and Craig Breslow could definitely look to acquire at a more reasonable price tag in comparison to the names we're about to break down now. And also to mention, like we did earlier, the flexibility in which Mitch Keller would then give you guys, or the Red Sox, I should say. He would have 3 more years under contract for whatever team he then is acquired by. And if the Red Sox were able to acquire him at a discounted price in comparison to these guys like Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Dylan Cease, and others, it could be a bit more affordable. And then on in the sense of finances, 16.5 per year for the next 3 years until that final year where you'd owe him 20.5. Overall, not the most outlandish price tag for someone in Mitch Keller that could really develop in your system. But now for the 2 names I absolutely love the most. The first one is Sandy Alcantara. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about Sandy, and the reason being is because he has regressed greatly, and it's been really hard to watch. His first game against the Pittsburgh Pirates to start this MLB season, he was pretty damn good. He gave up a few hits through 6 innings, but overall, pretty good stuff. The changeup was wipeout and still maintained that 90 mile per hour rate, 88 to 90, if you will, with a good fastball that had a great velocity. But from the start up until now, if you take every game into account and every inning that he has pitched up to this point in the year, simply, he has not been great. And that's unfortunate, but he's also playing in Miami. Now, they have been better as of late going into the All-Star break. By no means are they a dominant force in the MLB, but they have been credible, to say the least, especially for what the expectation was going into this MLB season. But I'm here to say this, really make the same argument I did for Keller, just to a higher extent. I think Sandy Alcantara, on paper, based off this Baseball Savant page, I understand, looks abysmal and is arguably one of the worst pitchers in baseball based off of this. But I'm here to tell you, if you plugged him into Boston and he was the number 2 or the number 3 guy behind Crochet and Bello and possibly even Walker Buehler or even Lucas Giolito, who didn't have the greatest performance today, at least in the first inning, he could really find his stride. And right now, he's a 7 ERA guy, but that is not who Sandy Alcantara is. This guy is legit. He has a blow-by-you fastball with a legitimate changeup and a great pitch mix that he can really dominate the majority of these batters, regardless if they are right-handed or batting from the left-handed side. Sandy has the potential, and we have seen him do it year after year for a bad Marlins team. And if you were able to put him on a legitimate competitor that had legitimate run support options for him, I really think Sandy would look a hell of a lot better than he does now in Miami. And seriously, the 7 ERA I don't believe would translate if he were able to be moved to a better organization where he wouldn't have to be their ace and wouldn't have to be their number 1 guy taking that ball every 5th day, but rather pitching behind someone like Garrett Crochet in other moments and not being the number 1 guy in the ace. And now the second guy, another Marlin. And the reason we are even mentioning this is because of an article that goes on to highlight the fact that the Red Sox haven't contacted the Marlins about either of these guys, but it seems like the Marlins may be in a position where they look to give up some of these guys in return to really reset a farm system, or really just another piece or two that can really be an MLB level guy this year and the years coming forward. And the second guy is Edward Cabrera. Now, it feels like his price tag is going to be the most expensive out of all the names we mentioned, and the reason being is not only the age, but the overall potential that this young man has. He is a freak of an athlete and overall a really big guy when it comes to starting pitching, and he has filthy stuff. The only problem is, despite being 27 years of age, he honestly appears younger than that when you see him on the mound due to the lack of reps that we have seen on the MLB level. But with that comes a lot of upside, the ability to hope and really put him into a system where he can learn, he can develop, and continue to get better along guys like Garrett Crochet and like Brayan Bello and these other qualified names that are already in the starting rotation for the Red Sox, as well as the pitching staff they maintain up to this point. Overall, I love the idea of Sandy Alcantara. I know his stats on the Baseball Savant page that we referenced aren't all that great, but if you look at the command in which you would have over him, obviously another 4 years before a club option, which has a $2 million buyout, but compared to Edward Cabrera and his contract situation that is currently going on. Again, he is 2 years younger, but Sandy's more qualified. He's more established, if you will, and honestly, I think Sandy benefits the most out of all the names we've mentioned from a change of scenery. I love this idea. Let me know down below who your favorite would be out of these options that we quickly went over in this video, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Red Sox Digest. Thank you guys for watching.